All right, guys, welcome back to... I'm going to kill you. Welcome back to Beyond... Welcome back to Beyond the Boundaries. We have Christina. What's your last name again? Wyatt now?
Wyatt.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Christina
Wow,
Wyatt.
what an intro!
Yeah, no kidding. Wait, what's your last name again? Wow.
So now it's Christina Wyatt on the podcast,
God,
Beyond the Boundaries.
fire
Yeah, Casey, you're done.
Fired.
Fired.
Straight to jail.
Fired.
Straight to jail.
Yes.
Right to jail. All right, so why don't you walk us through how you got started in real estate and what was appealing about Dream Team for you?
Okay, so it was a little wild on how I got into real estate. So prior to real estate, I was in the healthcare field. I was a care manager at Heritage Health in Coeur d'Alene. And, God, I hated it. I hated healthcare. I hated it. Just years of it, not truly caring about the patient and stuff. And so, I needed a way out. Well, my husband at the time owned his own landscaping business. And he's like, well, wouldn't it be funny if you got into real estate? And I was like, I don't know. Interesting. Maybe. Well, then I saw an ad that Keller Williams was hiring for an assistant. And so I'm like, I might just try it and see how I feel. And if I want to pursue real estate, that's how I'll do it. I applied. I did, I don't even know, 7 different interviews with the team, and I got the job.
7 interviews?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It was crazy. So, because I met with, his name was Andrew, so he was Mark's assistant at the time. So I had to meet with him. Then I had to meet with the team, and then you have to meet with people at Keller Williams. And so it was just a whole thing.
I'm so glad we don't do that.
Oh my God. But I made it through. And then I became the assistant. So
Nice.
that was the beginning for me. That's how I got in.
Nice. That's awesome.
Stupid.
So what was that 7 interview process like for you? Was it just terrible? Did you see any value in going through all that, or?
So I saw value in regards to the personality tests that they send you. So Keller Williams,
they do good at that.
Yeah, they really do. They send you multiple tests, and it's a personality. It dictates your personality, so it kind of states what you'll be good at. And so when I received those results, I initially thought that I was going to go on and do commissions for the team, because they said that I would be the best position for me was an MC, which is the person that runs the commission department at Keller Williams. And so I was like, oh, maybe, that's the route I was going to go. But no, here I am as an agent. So.
And when was that?
8 years ago. Over 8 years ago. Yep.
So what led from doing that to then wanting to get your license?
So when, as a TC, Keller Williams, they want all their TCs to be licensed. So you can manage that transaction and have those conversations with those clients. Because if you're unlicensed, you can't do anything. So that's the push for the license. And so through that, of course, learning, I learned the listing side. I learned the buyer side. I learned all legalities within, those 4 years. Well, the team that I was on was just kind of falling apart within. And so after, there was just some stuff that was going on where the managing broker just didn't have the teams back. And so I had a gal, come up to me, and she said, hey, my whole team is thinking about leaving. We want you to come with us, and we want you to start our team, help us on the admin side, develop our policies and procedures, and help with all of that. And so, perfect, I'll do it. I loved everybody on the team. They've been on tap for years, so it's I had all these built relationships. I built relationships with all of these ladies that were moving. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So we went over to Realty One Group, and then we started a team over there. And then I was the transaction coordinator for, it was March 2020. Or April 2020 is when we officially left Top Agent Team, and we went to Realty One Group. And so I helped put everything in place. Those through those that was in April, so 8 months. I think by the end of 2020, Teresa, who is the team lead, asked me, have you ever thought about selling? And I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not a salesperson. I wouldn't even know what to do. I'm comfortable with where I'm at. And she's like, no, girl, I think that you would be perfect. I will coach you. I will train you. I will get you whatever you need. But I think that you'd do really well in this position. And so she did. She provided coaching. I got coaching from Cody Sullivan. He was a big producer for Top Agent Team. Moved to Arizona, moved to Tri-Cities, started teams in both places. I've done phenomenal. Like, he's just a solid guy. So I did training with him, air coaching with him. And then I just kind of fumbled my way through selling real estate. My first year, I did
Isn't
27
that the
deals.
only way?
I feel like it is the only way.
You gotta fumble fuck your way through it.
I mean, you can learn your forms and your legalities, and you can learn all of the things, you know, through TC, but until you're like entrenched in those situations, like, you really have no idea.
Yeah.
So, so it was fun. That was a lot of fun, actually, for me.
How'd you finally get to Dream Team?
Yeah. So, the team that I was on fell apart. The team lead was very very money conscious. So I had a rough year. Actually, I had like 3 rough years, like really, really rough years where I couldn't focus on real estate. And so that first year that I couldn't, she came to me and said, "You're not making me money." And there was no like care about like what was going on in my life or my family, which I get, totally understand. But those are pretty significant life situations that I was going through. So, it just felt pretty cold to me that I was just a transaction instead of, you know, somebody on her team that was helping her build, considering I made her $500,000 the year before. So, anyway, so that started falling apart. And at that time, I was working with Danny Patterson at Synergy Properties. I was assisting him learning commercial and all of those fun things. And so Danny and Keith and everybody were trying to get me to go over there for like a couple of years. I just kind of dodged it, and I was like, you know, I don't know if I was ready for that. Well, at that point, it started falling apart, so I moved over to Synergy because I thought Danny and I were going to partner together and work together and build. But that all fell apart because literally 2 months after I moved to Synergy, Danny ended up landing his dream position at Kimmel and Haygood.
I remember when that happened.
Yes, yeah. So he called me and he's like, "Girl, like, I'm sorry, but this is what I'm doing." And I said, "Well, I can't hate you for it." So it's a position that he's wanted forever. So, you know, congratulations, good luck. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do now? And so I was at a top producer cruise, and I had talked with Zach back and forth because at that point you guys had rented the main office in the Valley. And so I know Danny was in charge of all of that.
That was a diabolical office.
So when it came to you guys moving into the 808 office with everybody, I was helping Danny working on getting that leased out. So anyways, we had talked back and forth a little bit. And then when I saw him at the cruise, like, we had kind of joked, and I realized like he kind of had my sense of humor. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, I like this guy. Well, then I was talking to Keith because Keith was coaching me, because Keith is like, "All right, Danny left. What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't even know. I don't know what it looks like from here." And so I thought about it, and I'm like, well, maybe like I want to train other agents and help, you know, maybe a team is kind of where I want to go. Like, maybe I'll dip my toes in there and try and see if that's something I can do, if I can lead other people. So I talked to Keith about it, and Keith is like, "Reach out to Zach. You know, Zach, this is what Zach's currently doing. Maybe he will help coach you and lead you as well." So I did. I reached out to Zach, said, "Hey, this is something I want to do. You know, would you meet up with me and you know, kind of help me with this?" And he said, "Well, instead of that, why don't we partner together?" And I was like, "Well, okay." And he's like, "Well, let's, you know, you can, if you want to meet with me and Nick, you can meet with Nick and I." And then, so then I met, and I was like, okay, like, I like what they had to say. And so then the next step was meeting the team. And so then it was just like all kind of down from there. I just appreciate how real everybody is, how authentic everybody is on the team. And that's what really, truly grabbed
I think a lot of your experiences that you had before, I mean, that's like what a lot of people experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, going somewhere and people are like, you know, make me money. And then you go somewhere else and it's like, okay, this just kind of fell through the cracks. Or because someone else, you know, is trying to move their life forward, or like, you know, just all those things. Or like the other thing is a little dysfunctional, you know? So it's like, I feel like I've also, or, you know, you guys also, like, have experienced those things in real estate, whether it's where we're at brokerage-wise or former things. But it's like, you know, I think we've all experienced those things. So I remember when I created this, for me, it was just very important good splits. Like, I don't need to get rich off this stuff. Luckily for me, I was producing so much at first, so I think it, it's really easy to like lay the groundwork for something like this. And then it's also like, it kind of happened on accident to where it was like, oh, I was do 10 people. And then Jerry and I would look around and I was like, okay, well, we have 20 people. And then it was like, okay, holy shit, we have 30 people. We need to take this seriously. And so, yeah, and it was just, it all meeting her. And then I felt like you wouldn't know this, but when we lost Alyssa, I felt like we kind of lacked like a woman presence that would kind of just like keep us in line.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like Ellie's not going to keep anybody in line.
Especially in that office on Main, without someone that like Tyson was kind of the team mom for a little while because we had no one else.
We had nobody.
He was in the office and people were just like, oh, maybe we can't just like yell random shit in the office because Tyson was
dude, we would like, Amira would get a client in and we would be like, let's see if we can't get Amira to lose this client.
Yeah, not really like that, but like.
But all of Amira's clients would always be like, what's that? And then she'd be like, this place was great. So it would never work on Amira's clients.
Well, yeah, it'd be like you're trying to have a meeting in one room, and then across this paper thin wall, you got like Nick Kuiper and another dude who set up like a fake studio thing, making rap music, like hood trap music, and then the people are just like, wild. What the fuck is this? And then people trying to make calls. Yeah, and then Tyson came in and really like set a tone.
Yeah.
And then when we moved,
Tyson's like, I can't get shit done in this environment.
That's exactly what it was.
And then when we moved into the Synergy office, like the big one, it was like, okay, everybody, we're not the only people in this building anymore.
Yeah.
We need to act like,
adults.
Tone down the autism level a little bit.
It's true.
Bring the tism down.
It had to come down.
But all of that, I think, to your point,
is all the
necessary steps. Mm-hmm. As we grew, we became a lot more, I think, than we thought it was going to become. At the start.
I always keep saying, like, last year was like our first, like, to me, legit full year. Like, we were a team, but like last year was like, to me, the first year of like really taking it seriously, because for so long it was just like I was gonna produce and just hanging out with my friends, and then it was like, okay, well, those do it. I guess. What other choice do we have?
The thing is like with how authentic the group is, like there's going to be natural growth. Mm-hmm. And so that's why you can't anticipate, because your vibe really does attract your tribe. Yeah. And more people are, I think, stepping away from that stuffiness that our average agent.
Yeah. Well, our generations just don't, like, anywhere from 40 to 20. I mean, nobody likes that stuff.
No.
Yeah. No. It's very few and far between.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw an article or a study or whatever that was talking about like the younger generation now and how plugged in they are to social media. Yes. The people who become like famous from that are just authentic, and if you're not authentic, you basically are like immediately dropped. Like nobody follows you anymore.
It's true.
And
it's
so
washed out.
Yeah,
like
nobody watches because it's just overproduced. It's too polished. It's too
it's not relatable.
Yeah,
like nobody can relate, because I mean, in today's world, who's living that perfect life? Like nobody.
It went from like projecting the perfection onto social media to like, oh, now you actually are successful if you're not showing just everything's perfect, curated all the time.
Yes.
That was like the TikTok. That was Instagram to TikTok is when I really noticed it, because Instagram was very much a highlight reel of look at how awesome I am.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And TikTok was this is who I am.
Yes.
Deal with it or don't. Get the fuck out if you don't like it.
Kind of like Vine. Vine was pretty diabolical.
I think in real estate,
Vine was like the stepping stone to TikTok.
Yeah, I agree.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But I think in real estate it works the same way. Is you go to like a KW or something, or a John L. Scott, where you're in your mind, you're like, oh, these are just suit and tie, everything's polished, like shows up with briefcase with all his documents in it, lawyer type shit, and then you come to Synergy and you're like, oh,
house.
none of those people really are wearing suit and ties.
Right.
They're still
they're still selling real estate.
And most of them are creatures. Actually.
Yes,
they're literal.
They're beasts in the industry, like in life.
Yeah, and they're just like cartoon character, not real people.
Yeah, right.
But again, it's like Carlson. They're more like suit and tie, or like professional or whatever. Which it's like also goes to show you that like
there's a market for everybody.
There's a market for everybody, and not only is there a market for everybody, anyone can accept anyone for who they are and coexist together.
Yes.
If all parties choose to have that vibe.
Cohesive.
Even
Yeah.
like Real Vantage, like their stuff is very polished and it looks good, but that's authentic to them, and that's how a lot of them operate. Is like, this is who we are and this is what we care about. And then Dream Team's more of a like, take us or leave us, we really don't care. But
But Real Vantage is also real too. Like they,
Yeah,
I know they have
Lauren
their.
is like real as shit.
Yeah.
Lauren is as real
Yeah.
as it gets.
But that's just their real is different than our real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that, I think that's the trick, right? Is realizing that, everybody has something different to provide, but it's like, where do you
and then
fit
people
in?
and then people vibe with that, dude.
Yeah.
Like certain people just vibe with that, like the client base.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like some people just like want to have fun, and like most of my clients, they probably want to have fun.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is.
What was one of your first impressions of Christina when you first met her and
We met
onboarding her?
in Daba on Broadway, which is like where all my good meetings happen. That's where I met Hunter too. Yeah, I just liked her, honestly. It was just, I could tell that she wanted more, and I could tell that she was serious, and I could tell just her energy. She had a different, because everyone can go, I want to sell 20 houses. But it's like, oh, this motherfucker really wants to sell 20 houses. Because it's like, you could pick up on when people, we just talked about that at lunch, right? Like, you can't teach motivation. So there's definitely like a motivation and a drive. And then it was just like, when you meet anyone who wants to step in that leadership, you're just like, here's the lessons that I have had to learn, and just trying to teach her that as much as possible and make her life easier. And I think that's the biggest thing today, I think we're talking, is you just can't teach motivation.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but then you have someone like a Justin or an Evan or an Alejandro or you, when you came here, and then you're just like, tell me what to do. I'll go do that right now. And then you're like, yeah, okay. And then it's just like, then you're like, oh man, like, because sometimes I think as leaders, you're like, oh, you can't train, or like, oh man, these people just aren't, it's just not happening, or da-da-da-da. And it's just like, no, it's just, you can't teach motivation.
Yeah.
And you can't.
Yes. And that's the thing, like Zach has been helping a lot in regards to, because I run a small team, and it throws up some challenges, and so it's like, what does it look like getting through it? Because
perspective, mindset shift.
Right, right.
Especially coming from TC, like everything's in line and perfect. It has to be compliant, where in the leadership world, it's a shit show.
Right.
There's no straight line. It's like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Every situation
adjusting.
Yeah, every situation's different. Every person's different, and then learning your
What works for one
what
person.
works for
won't
other
work.
people, and your abilities and your limitations. And that's a hard one for leaders, is learning like, oh yeah, I have limitations. Or like, just in general, as people, we have limitations. Like, you can't teach motivation. Like, I've never met a person that can teach motivation.
Yes,
so it's
right,
like,
right.
And Nick, and when she left lunch today, me and Nick and Spencer Ladd even talked about that, Nick Michelle. And it was just like, dude, you cannot teach motivation. Like, the 80-20 rule is there for a reason, which is 20% of people do 80% of the work. If you look at our organization, it's about 30% of us do most of the deals. And that's just how it is. And it's just like, you can't, like, there's only so many Kobe Bryants and Michael Jordans in the world. And there's only one Tom Brady, So it's like, okay. And then if Tom Brady's the GOAT, then you have Patrick Mahomes and the Peyton Mannings and the Drew Breeses. So it's like, okay, there's only like 5 of those guys. So it's like, it's just hard to be like a top 20% guy.
Yeah.
Or gal. It's just hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that saying where it's like, out of 100 people on a battlefield, 10 shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
80 are the real fighters. I know, what is it? Yeah, 10 shouldn't even be there. 80% are just kind of cannon fodder. 9 are the true warrior or true fighters, and then the one is the real warrior who actually like goes out there, gets shit done, and
Leads it.
Yeah,
Yep.
leads the whole.
I agree with that.
Packed.
charge.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, honestly.
Well, yeah, not to get too into the weeds about war, but back in the day when you just like lined up and shot muskets, most people like close their eyes before they shoot and like just wouldn't shoot anyone. They just shoot into the air or whatever.
Get roasted.
Yeah, they're just they don't want to be there, and then they also are afraid of dying, obviously, and they've never killed anyone before, so they don't want to do it. Then to attempt to tie it into real estate, it's like some people just like do the work to get their license, and then they think that is
Oh,
doing it.
Yes.
Because at a job that they came from, just getting the job, they've succeeded and fulfilled their goal.
And what I've learned too is like so many people just do it and then they just say, I don't know what I'm doing for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they blame you for their problems and then they go somewhere else and then they usually phase out. That's usually what happens, honestly. And it's not just for us, it's for everybody. Like if it's a new agent and they just sit around and do nothing and say, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't have the resources, I don't have the systems. Okay, well, go somewhere else and then quit. And that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
And it's just usually what happens. So it's like I even get skeptical of taking agents when they're not producing from somebody somewhere else. Because usually then we're just the second girlfriend that gets the guy who didn't fix his problems and said she was a bitch. And, and then we're like, okay, well, we'll see. And it's like and then we're like, oh, well, there's this dude has a lot of red flags or gal has a lot of red flags or whatever. So it's like, it's tough, dude.
We either are we're the greener grass that they're looking at across the fence, and then they come to us and realize it's not greener, or they leave us because they don't think the grass is green and they go somewhere else.
Greener grass syndrome.
Yeah.
We say that's a big thing when I'm always helping like guys get married on the team, or if they're asking me for advice, and they're like, well, what if like, Jerry never asked me this, but for example, like if Jerry was like, what if Kendra isn't the right person, or what if there's someone out there, and I'm like, well, do you love her? Is she good? Yeah. Okay. Well, green grass is always greener, but also green grass is green grass.
Water your own grass.
Yep. So if you like what you have, then
water it.
Yeah.
Water your own grass. And my thing is like I think that people get into the industry because I think that people have misled and stating that it's like easy, right? Well, you get in, it's not.
Once you
it's
figure
not.
it,
It's
actually,
not easy.
I say once you figure it out, it's pretty easy.
It's
It
simple.
can't be
Figuring
once
it out
you
is really
figure
hard.
it out.
Figuring
Like
it
if
out
you
is
can
hard.
develop a system and you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
but getting in there, I mean, and you have a lot of people. That's one thing about Keller Williams. I do have to say, like as a new agent and joining their brokerage, the training is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely like that. I think that that's probably what projected me so far was just the training that I got.
See, that's why I'm trying to I'm trying to kick Nick, both Nicks and Dustin to make our own version of that.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the next step for new agents. But yeah, it's just like even that energy too. It's like you look at even Evan, Alejandro, and Justin. Because Justin was 2 years, but if you do one deal in 2 years, you don't count. You're a new agent. So look at him. He's doing a deal a month. Jose, we're not even in Tri-Cities, and he's doing a deal a month. So it's just like. It's just perspective, really, and just these agents that get around that dream team energy, they'll figure it out.
And motivation. I think that
They all have that. Like Evan,
Yes.
you don't have to worry if Evan has motivation. That dude's going to the gym 5 days a week, in good shape, eats good. That's why, I love, especially when people like have a routine like that, or like Nick Michelle. Like Nick, he's very
routine
based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Justin too.
Yeah,
And
don't let a dog bark when he's sleeping though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He'll go to a midlife crisis.
He broke his routine. He didn't get his 8 hours of beauty sleep.
Well, even Alejandro, Alejandro had a moment where he tried to do some greener grass syndrome, and we actually had a conversation in the parking lot, and there was this earlier this year, and he was just like, I think I'm the problem. And I was like, yeah, you are.
So he's having an issue with like Dream Team, like being an agent? Or?
No, he just had greener grass, right? Like I think he went and interviewed a few places, and I was just like, and he told me about it, and we had a good conversation, and I was just like, cool, dude. Well, you do whatever you want. And then he just legit asked me a few questions, like, it was like, what am I doing wrong? And I just told him, and then now look at him.
Yeah.
He's popping off. He just closed 2 deals, and
once you apply yourself,
he's just it's just. But it's like either agents have that breakthrough, or they just never figure it out.
Yes. Yep.
That's just how it is. They just and it's like, to me, it's like I'm always searching for that next breakthrough. What's my next breakthrough?
Yes. I'm never content. Never. That's why I'm always.
But again, you can't teach that.
No, you can't.
Teach that. So it's like even today, you're having a breakthrough about coaching and these things, and you're like, okay. And I'm like, yep. Trust me, like. That's why we don't even like to do like a bunch of like in-person trainings, because everyone loves them and then no one shows up.
And no one shows up.
So I'd just rather do them at like the team meetings or like mentorship coaching, when like, okay, a new agent gets a deal, they get a fish on the line. Okay, now go talk to Christina. Now go talk to Jerry. Now go talk to Dustin. Then they'll go make you money. They'll cover you. They'll make sure you don't get sued. Now go do that 3 or 4 times. Okay, now you've learned, because now you've done 3 or 4 times. You've looked at it. You can at least write a contract and have Jerry review it now, right?
Yep.
So
Yes.
it's like that's just how I've come to like even training agents, because it's like that's how they learn anyway.
Yeah.
It's fumble. It's the fumble fuck
You have to.
training.
You
That's
do.
what I call it.
You do. It really is. You have to fumble your way through it.
Yep.
That's the only way you learn.
I think Evan probably showcased that the best.
The best, yeah.
Like, because when we first started, Nick was new, I was new, Nick Michelle was new, Dustin had done a little bit.
He did too.
But like every single step of the way, I would be like, Zach, what do I do now? He'd be like, you need to take money to escrow. And I was like, okay, great, I'll do that. What's escrow? He's like, call Karen and have her open title. And I was like, great, I will call Karen.
And where's Karen?
What's title?
What is a Karen?
Yeah, what is a Karen?
And so, but then Karen Gary,
Gory. You're fine.
G-O-E, I'm like, it's Gary. But she was so nice because I called and I was like, hi, I'm a real estate agent. I just got my first deal under contract and I was told to open title.
Yeah.
And she was like, come on into the office and I'll actually explain what everything is to you. And so, so she actually was like, you technically don't even open title. It's already open. All you have to do is send me the contract. That's all signed. And then
Let me look in the camera right now. You can clip this later. I just let the real estate industry train my agents. My agents actually know what they're doing. You're just part of my plan. Do your fucking job. Can we clip that?
Yeah,
Can we clip that, please?
Yeah.
It was like Evan has done the same thing where like every step of the way he's asking someone like, what's the next best move to do?
Yes.
I have to do this.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got this inspection. How should
They're
I write
honestly
this
the
up?
first
What
three,
things should I
like
ask
they're
for?
the first three new agents that I've had since all the first like 10, 15 OGs that actually have done that, honestly.
Yeah.
And obviously since then we've got a lot of new like experienced people, but as far as like the new people we've had over the last 2 years, you guys were a pipe dream because they would all do that. They would call me and be like, I took it here, I did this, now what do I do? And I would tell them, and then after like 3 or 4 deals, they would know what they were doing.
Yes.
And they would like, get in situations, they would call me, and they would ask me, and Evan was really really good at that. Like he would just be so scared to do anything without calling, which is exactly how you should be.
Yes.
But then it got to the point where he would message me and he'd be like, hey, I'm doing this 35R and I have to attach an addendum. I'm pretty sure I did it right. Can you just look at it to make sure I didn't word anything bad? And I'd look at it and it'd be perfect. And I'd be like, cool. He's trying it and then he's checking
that's
before
what you
he
want him to
sends
do.
it
Yes.
out
Yep.
to make sure it's right.
If an agent follows this method, they'll start doing that.
Yeah.
They really will.
And then it's like, okay, they're trying. So it's like they didn't know what they were doing, and they sat there and because you're truly like empowering them. Because disempowering them is taking them into a class. They look at a whiteboard. You talk for 3 hours. They're drained. They listen to 45% of it because any true entrepreneur has ADHD, and then it's all gone. It's just gone. So it's like what really empowers agents is you take their hand and take them with you. Any really good leader takes their hand and takes them with you. And then you know what? Cool. Yeah, the title rep might think Jerry doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't give a shit. What I want Jerry to do is I'm not focused on whatever the industry perceives us as or perceives me as. I'm actually, and I don't even give a shit if they think you're an idiot. I want you
either.
Yeah, I want
was.
exactly.
I was
exactly, but I want you to call and learn. And guess what? The first time you ride a bike, you fall over and you look like an idiot. So it's like, yeah, that's what has to happen. That's just life on planet Earth.
I think of it as a kid too. You know, if you were raising your children, you don't want to do everything for them, right? Isn't our whole point to help them create that independence where they're they grow up and they can go off on their own,
and they
right?
got to make mistakes too,
right?
You just hope that like nobody makes a mistake where they get themselves sued, and knock on wood that hasn't happened. But again, it's like we have those things are there, and they're there to check and balance. Like it's all there. Yeah. But the best way those agents can learn is also having a little fear. Yo, Jerry, did I do this right? Okay, yeah, let me look before you send that. I love your mind on this. You should be doing this rather than me finding out on the back end and you're like, have to give up $3,000 of your commission because you're stupid.
Yes.
Forgot to check a box, and now all of a sudden you're buying a new washer
dryer.
Yep.
That's it.
But also those are good moments too, man, for agents.
That'll teach you
to learn. You never do it again.
In the worst way. That's like teaching you like knife safety and you cut yourself by accident. like you're never gonna make that mistake ever again.
Correct.
Or gun safety.
Correct.
Or gun safety, and you cheddar bob yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I just think that's the way new agents should learn. But also, like, if an agent is willing to do that, they're never gonna not do real estate too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's a good sign of like if you're willing to go and not know what you're doing and still try to figure it out and then know that you have like a bunch of people to go to. Like when we started, we just had one guy.
Right.
And so I can't imagine how he did 70 deals in a year and had all of us blowing up
Calling
his phone all
him
the time.
24/7.
I was just angry, dude.
Yep. And then there'd be times where I'd message him for like this, and he'd just go, "You already know this. You asked me this 3 weeks ago. Figure it out." And I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And then I would literally just scroll back up the text message 3 weeks, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did ask him this before." Or he'd be like, "Go ask someone else. Ask someone who knows." And I was like, "How do I figure out who to ask? How do I find out who knows?" But then I would just like Google it. Like the amount of people who aren't even willing to do that, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's why like when we're talking about paperwork and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I learned because I read all.
Yeah,
the
there's
form
been a few
manuals.
times in the last year you've said some stuff, and I'm like, that's what I would have said.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
I'm just like, I want to help you, but ultimately the helping you is like making you figure it out on your own. And if you're gonna like call me and you did 10 deals last year, and then you're asking me what form you respond to an inspection with, I'm gonna tell you you're stupid and you already know it. And why are you asking me? Or I'll tell you to Google it. But if you're
Or why don't you go look at a past transaction?
yeah.
I mean,
There's
you
a
know.
lot of ways to figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that's just always kind of how I've been. Like if I really have no idea and it's solely new, I'd ask Zach. But if I kind of thought I might know, I would go and try and figure out if I knew or not. And then if I really couldn't figure it out, then I would ask again.
Yes.
But
yes.
I always thought that was just how everyone did it. And then I realized that like, nope.
No.
That's not how everybody does it.
No, a lot of people get babied. And there's even a team out there that will, will write up the contract for you. So they have their TC person that writes up the contract for their buyer's agent.
I don't like that.
So I don't either. I'm a control freak. Though,
I like
so
minimal TC involvement.
Upload the
I
docs.
I agree. I'm with you on
I just
that,
want
but-
it to be like, to me, it's like I like how we do it because it's just like an extra set of eyes. Like that's to me what a TC does.
Yes.
This should be an extra set of eyes. Make sure everything's going good. Make sure nobody's dead. You know, try to help out the agents. Be a resource.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you missed a box. Don't get sued. Go read it.
Yeah. Hey, I
yes,
caught this
address that,
before I
yeah.
send it to Jerry. I'll put a note in. Go get it. Like that's what a TC should be doing. Is like a good point guard. Like your TC is the point guard of the basketball team, setting you up, facilitating the ball, running the plays, making sure everything's together, and that everyone's doing their job.
Yes. Yes.
Point guard.
I can't
just
even imagine
creates-
a TC writing contracts for me. Like
She's licensed, but it's still very. I'm with you 100%. I feel like that's creating an issue more of an issue than it is helping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like you're
'cause-
teaching those agents to really rely on you instead of creating that independence where they can.
Yeah, and also how many of those agents only do probably 5 to 10 a year where it's like, dude, you don't even deserve someone to write the fucking contract. Maybe if you're doing 40, 50, 60, 70 deals, hell yeah. But
I
it's
don't
just
even
like-
know if I was doing that many. I don't know. I'm a
it
control
doesn't-
freak.
It
Though.
doesn't
a little
take
bit
that long
different.
to even write a contract.
Doesn't. Takes me 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
3 minutes.
I just went in and set up a template.
Yeah,
Like
same.
most single family homes
Yeah.
have the same
Yes.
12 docs.
Yeah,
and maybe
honestly,
one will be different.
Honestly, if you're like in the cockpit, laptop out, on the phone with Hunter and your client, it should only take you 10 to 30 minutes to write an offer.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, and that's from like start to finish, like you're
With
writing
signings
it.
and everything.
So you're
yeah.
signing it, and maybe 45 minutes if you got to explain it. But even like, so like even when I was helping first time home buyers, my pitch or my thing would always be like, listen, first offer we do, I'm going to explain it to you in detail. After that, I'm going to send it to you, and you're going to sign them because it's going to be the same fucking thing every time. So I will text you the terms, and so you have a general understanding of what we're doing, and I will go through it one time with you, maybe twice if you really need me to. But after that, it's the same thing every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's to me, most clients, they just want to know one time, and
Yeah.
then shit. If like my clients, they're repeat clients, second house. I ain't explaining shit. I'm sending that bitch.
Well, the thing is, once you
You already
explain
know
it
what this
once, I mean, I say, like, if you need
Yeah.
any further clarification, it breaks everything down on the second page or fifth page or whatever page it is of the document, and it tells you right there what it is.
Yep.
So-
I always, I mean, when we wrote our first few, when I started writing my first few, Zach would be like, you ask them if it's their first time, you ask them, do you want me to go line by line and literally read this word for word all the way through? We can do that, or I can give you the meat and potatoes, all the important things you need to
Right,
know,
right.
and then you can
Never
go
have
back
had
and read it.
anyone. I've maybe had 2 people out of 250 be like, I need line by line.
I had
and
one-
I'm just like,
I've never had anybody.
Tony was the only one who actually has ever asked me to read it line by line.
yeah.
Wow.
And he was, because he's a guy from California, buying in Washington, never
True,
been up
different,
here. So he was like, well, I've done it before, but I don't know what these forms are. And I was like, cool. First page, it's going to take an hour to do because there's all these stuff. And then I was like, the page 2 through 6 of this PSA, all of that is just terms. A lot of them we've used, a lot of them you'll recognize. Feel free to read that at your own leisure.
Yes.
If you ever see anything in here. And then I was like, then we went through the whole thing. And it took like an hour and a half. But then he was fine.
Yeah, you didn't have to explain it a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people just need a few times, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's not even a problem.
So, yeah, I guess what I want to talk about is like what's obviously we squirreled a while, which is great. I love the squirrels. That's why we never plan what we're doing. It's better that way.
Winging it.
We've talked about meeting, her journey. What about now you're coming into like 2 years on the team, getting Idaho? Like, what's all that like now?
Yeah, so, the
Because
journey...
it's like you start of like, this is what I want to do. And now it's like, oh, fuck, I'm doing the thing that I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Actually, my screensaver is a picture of Goku from Dragon Ball Z. And it says, look at you. Isn't this what you asked for? So it's kind of like the same thing, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So super exciting. It's funny because I've had this idea of where I wanted to go. Like I said, I'm one person that I will start something and I'll do good with it. I'll master it, and then I'm like, well, what's next? That was what else can I do? And so getting on with Dream Team. At first I was like, oh man, this is a little bit of a shit show, like what is this going to look like? And so, but I was here for it. I was like, okay, I know I was a little pushy, because as they started growing, I'm like, you guys, like we have to get stuff in place. Like we need to get a little bit more organized.
Yeah, well, that's
so,
we know we needed that. 'Cause
Yes.
we had that with Alyssa, but
Yes.
we lost that.
Yes.
We didn't have anyone after Alyssa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So when Zach was like, hey, like I want to put this group of people together, and now is the time that I want to get serious and start, getting this organized and just kind of cleaning this process up in regards to onboarding and training our agents. And, our culture is solid. So that I don't think we've ever really had to work on that. People that don't fit in find themselves out,
That's the easiest
So,
part. It's almost like honestly, remind me, and you guys all watch sports enough to know this, but Dream Team literally reminds me of like the Pete Carroll Seahawks.
yeah.
It's
yes.
just
the culture's there.
Just the culture's there,
love.
and like the love, and then like Pete Carroll's practices were always fucking weird as shit, and he'd have like basketball hoops, and people would just be like, when it's time to focus, it was time to focus, and then when it wasn't time to focus, they were doing like some like weird hippie shit in the middle of the football field, being unorthodox. Like, so like in a way it always makes me laugh, but because I always say it's like, no, it's not you can't say it's the New England Patriots, because we're definitely not that, because
no.
they were super intense, but it reminds me of the Seahawks when they were really good, like our culture.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
it's kind of fun.
Yes. So it's been, I think that through my time with Dream Team, I think that I have, I've even relaxed a little bit, and, Zach and I have like developed, a pretty good friendship where, now I feel like I can be open with him. It usually takes me a while. I'm very, very slow to open up, but finally, like, I'm there with Zach. Once I get there, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be kind of stuck with me. So I'm pretty loyal.
You
and
are
I don't.
I got some weirdos, dude. You're pretty normal. Probably considered compared to some of these guys. I don't know.
Top 3 most normal people on Dream Team.
You might actually be. And if you go, I don't know, that shows you how weird everyone else is. So, I don't know.
So over the last year where we've kind of been tightening up and buttoning things up for Dream Team, has just been really fun and working with Zach, sharing my ideas, and he also just kind of lets me take reins on things. And for a while I've been proposing like I would help run Idaho. You just let me know. And at that time somebody else was in that position, trying to run Idaho, and so I think he was, being loyal to that person, but when he reached out to me and asked me about it, I couldn't even, there was no hesitation. I was all about it. In a heartbeat, I'd love to. So, I'm pretty stoked about that, actually. I think that over the last couple years, I've had people on my team. I've had one really good success story where, she didn't sell anything her first year.
Well, no, two
And
now.
then-
Justin, same thing.
And Justin's doing good
Justin
too.
was definitely, I feel like, more of a joint venture effort. But still,
I'm like Nick Kuiper. I know has like worked a lot with Justin. So
well, Justin's like one of those people that's just really good. He asks like everybody.
He
So
does.
It's like
he's
like
so
the
good about
perfect-
reaching out. And
He's like a
asking
perfect
questions.
dream team guy who can just come into the system, and which can be very overwhelming for a lot of people too. And just go, cool, yeah, here's your person, but here is 7 people, and you probably should go meet with all of them and get information. And he's one of those like that's just done that.
But
So.
it's the asking everyone, being willing to ask everyone for what they can contribute, and then when you get the answer you're looking for, he stops asking about that.
Yes.
Because there's other people who will go to every single person and ask until they get the answer they want, not the answer that they actually should have.
Yes. Yes.
But Justin is really good about like, I'm going to go and ask this question, and once I get the answer from one of them, I'm not going to go and try and get a different answer for the same question from every single person.
Right, not seeking the one that I want.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
He's not looking for confirmation. He's actually looking for guidance.
Yes.
Right. People will do that and they look for confirmation, but really what you're looking for is uncertainty. So
Yeah.
you're just chasing uncertainty.
I was just thinking about that today. I feel like so many people live in like a groupthink environment where it's like, I don't want to hear any opposing viewpoint. I want to hear my opinion come out of your mouth.
Yeah, actually, the first person I ever heard say that was Brian Casella, and he said that you should have no more than like 2 people, mentors. Yeah. Because if you're the guy that's searching on YouTube and you have 7 people say it 7 different ways, you're never going to do anything.
Yeah,
that's like analysis paralysis type of deal.
So really sticking to 2 mentors, and he goes, okay, and if you stick for 2 mentors and then time is the ultimate judge, 2 mentors, 6 to 12 months, if, fruit is not bared, get rid of one of them or get rid of another one, or you interflect and make an adjustment so they can help you more or whatever, right? So
right, because isn't the point of that for someone to be able to step in and help you grow and get where you want to be?
Yeah, but you can't do that with having 10 different
Correct.
Living in a group think. Yeah.
Situation.
Imagine having 10 head basketball coaches.
Oh, fuck.
What fucking player are we running?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
That's why I think you're like, it's perfect that you're taking over Idaho, because even in the last few months, since you really started getting like, all right, guys, we're pushing into Idaho now, or everybody get dual licensed. That's more that's gone on for Idaho in like 3 months than the last 4 years.
I was going to say even 2 years that I've been here. It's been, Idaho's been non-existent, which has been kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, but it is, but it just takes the effort and someone wanting to do it.
Well, it definitely does. So, I'm excited about that. When we announced that I was stepping into the Idaho side, for everybody to step up and want to get their Idaho license was kind of an honor. So I'm
I've never
excited
seen
about
anything
that.
like that. There was like not only I was like, okay, 5 or 6. It was like 15 people. I was like, oh fuck,
The
okay.
whole team's
Hell
just
yeah.
like, all right, dual license.
Yeah, because it's like now we have someone that is going to care, is going to answer their phone, and is going to learn shit. Hell yeah.
But also, like you've been around long enough that people know that you're like reliable, that you have fruit on the tree, that you're going to help us. And then also that you actually went and were like, I'm doing this meeting. I'm getting you everything to just walk along the path that I'm going to put out for you. You have no excuse if you're not going to do it. It's literally so easy.
Yep.
I showed up by accident one day and you were helping Pat and Caleb. And I was like, hey, can I do this too? And you're like, yeah. And I literally did it from my phone.
See, that's what I'm saying, dude. If you just go and do it, you build it and they will come. I say that. I've said it all the time. You just do it. Jerry didn't think about it. Goes in there. I should do this. There you go. Yep. It's just putting the energy out. You put the energy out, people will then come.
Yes.
It's just life. We'll have a funny way of, and then what's going to happen is we're going to have all these people, and then in like 3 months, there's going to be another few people that are going to be like, oh, no, okay, shit. Like, I'm telling you, you 14 that do it, you, Casey, excuse me, you and Casey and like Nick Kuiper put one under escrow, everyone's gonna be like, ooh, ooh, you know, a group of monkeys, ooga booga booga, and then they're all
all of a
down.
sudden
Now you got
cracking
5
out
other
over
people.
it.
There's gonna be, and then in a year, Nick Kuiper is gonna be like, shit, dog, I made $100,000, and then now like 10 people are now everyone's gonna be dual licensed, so that'll be how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just funny. And even Spencer Ladd was telling me today, like like the energy that we have, it doesn't exist in Idaho. So he's like, dude, it would not be hard for you guys to do well in Idaho because you guys are just going to work so hard. And he's like, you guys will just do leaps and bounds over what, the energy that's going on over there. So it's just, I don't think it's going to be that hard. Especially like it might be like a year or two of like a lot of prospecting and calling leads and getting involved in the community and just getting our presence known in that way of just consistent effort from the whole group. But as far as just like if you go interview 3 agents over there and the other's like, oh, Dad, I'll ride my boat, dog, and then you're just like, what do you want to fucking do? Tell me, let's do it. Cool, you can't do this. You can do this. Have a nice day. They're gonna be like, damn, that guy's pretty straightforward. That's
they're on their
nice.
shit over there.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I think it'll just be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna grow. I think stepping into Idaho, I think absolutely there's a lot more people that want that authenticity as well. And
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited.
especially in
I'm
Idaho, yeah.
excited to break into that market. I mean, I have a lot of friends over there that are in real estate. With Keller Williams, just because Keller Williams was my family for 4 years.
And again,
so
build it,
I have a
build
lot
it,
of
and they will
connections.
come, dude.
But
That's just what it
yep,
is.
that's exactly it. So, I'm excited to get immersed in Idaho, so we can look into activities and serving and just building more of a presence.
Yeah,
over there.
I think Idaho and Spokane will
about
pretty much be like the fundamental foundation of Dream Team in general.
Yeah.
Like I think Florida will do good and Texas will do good, and if we get Seattle and other if we ever get Arizona and these other places, I think they'll all do well. But we'll set the standard up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Seattle too, and Tri-Cities, honestly, like Tri-Cities, I think, especially if the meeting goes well tomorrow, we might have in the next few months like 10 people.
I'm stoked for Idaho because I live over there anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, most of the people who are getting dual license do not live in Idaho.
Yeah, you're going
Right.
to be
I'm gonna be
making
living
racks
in-
off showings, dude.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you'll
Me
probably
helping,
be my
yeah.
go-to.
Which would be great because I'm good with the super boxes. I
Yes.
was always good with them anyway.
Yes.
Before we moved to the new ones, so it'd be like dusting off an old skill set.
Yeah.
Those super boxes.
Yeah.
Did we figure out if we can buy them or do we have to rent them?
I'll get clarification on that because I bet if we bought some out and just kept them in the office, that would be. I bet we
Yeah,
could.
even like
So I'll
10,
double
even
check.
if we could
Yeah,
get
we
like
have
10
two.
of them.
10.
We have 2.
We have 2.
Okay.
They're. I mean, I don't know if they are.
I'm sure they can
specific
transfer
to
to Idaho.
Washington or whatever, but
If they're specific to here, I don't think they'll work in Idaho.
They
But
look
I
the
can.
same. I
bet we
can
can
They
transfer
do
them.
look the same, but I can double check. Because I know I've got like a Idaho lockbox. They just do it different, but we'll
Yeah, they
figure
do.
that out.
They're just, They're weird. They're just weird.
As we continue to build, I want to have.
you said doo doo.
I said dude. Nice. Clip that.
Look that.
Clip that.
But we want to make sure that we have all the resources that our Washington side has and our Idaho side, and so I think Zach and I will do really good at providing.
Yeah,
that
I
for
think the
everybody.
next biggest thing, honestly, for the team is I thought you were at the meeting the other day. I'm going to task both Nix and Dustin to build out a training program,
Yeah.
and I said take a year. I don't give a shit. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like make it dope. Because if you look at our aesthetic and every single person that comes here, and this isn't even to discount you or me or even Tyson, but if you look at everyone that comes here, one of those guys could take any of the people. Because honestly, because like Dustin is good for like you or Alejandro, who are like just more chill. Like he's really good for a chill person, and Nick Michelle is really good for an analytical type, and then Nick Kuiper is really good for like our more like free, run by the seat of your pants type. So it's just kind of interesting. But if you look at like the aesthetic of the last year and everyone who's joined us, like everyone kind of fits that archetype, or like could be helped by one of those people. So you put those 3 people in a room for 6 to 12 months, and you're like, hey, go study some training programs at other places. You guys are all OGs. You guys know what works. You guys have done this. You guys have produced. Now go build something, and me, Tyson, and Christina will look over that. I think that's going to be really, and Jerry.
Yeah. Then film it, put it up on
Yes.
training.
Dream Team,
Yes.
yeah.
Dream
So
Team
that's phase probably 2 or 3 of it. But I'm just like build that out, and I'm like, you guys could like sell it. You guys could like it'd be a nationwide thing if you do it the right way. But I think, and then I think Jerry was like, well, there's really not like a standard thing like that that's like out there that's like tangible. I think you kind of said that at lunch or something like that. Or
Yeah, well, everybody has there's a lot of, Nick Michelle's done
Yeah, the Brian Mulrennan
12 different
whatever,
coaches
and- Yeah.
programs,
There's
but
the
they're all
Tom
like
Ferry coaching stuff. Chad
15
Kennedy was talking
grand.
about.
Well, and Keller Williams, they have their own. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think if you break it down to brokerages, every brokerage has their own training, so they do have them.
Yeah.
The thing is now where are they at? Have
Yeah.
a lot of them taken them to video, or are they just all in manuals still? And
A lot of them are manuals.
a lot of them are, and then a lot of them do have like people that come in and present too. So like, what does that look like? But I think that if we can appease to all of that, we'll
Exactly. And the thing
We'll be
that's
able to take
powerful
off.
about those three is like they're all so different. Mm-hmm. So it's like you get three different people, and I was like, you guys even just getting in that space together, we're gonna fill a lot of gaps in your own personalities and businesses, just hearing each other talk.
right.
But then you can have any group of agents that are coming on to get trained anywhere that they might be hands-on, they might be auditory, they might be visual learner, but all three of those boxes are checked
Correct.
by all the training.
Yes.
All three of any of the three, Nick and Dustin, can present that same information a little bit differently to each one, tailored to whoever needs it.
Correct. And
Yeah.
they have their strengths in different areas too.
Yep.
So, I think Nick Michelle could do wonderful at, training people on prospecting,
Systematizing.
Yeah, systematizing.
your entire business.
Yes.
He is the master of that.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, I want to
yes.
make what is it, $300,000 or something crazy this year. He's like, I have to make 47 contacts a day, and if I hit 47 contacts a day, and/or my conversion rate goes up, I will make $300 and something thousand this year.
Yeah.
And he has it all broken down in his systems,
Yep.
and it's very trackable that way because you can be like, oh, I only made 20 contacts today. That's going to only get me halfway to my goal, so I got to step it up.
Right.
But he also, it's easy to digest when he sits down and shows you what he's doing and why he's doing it and how he did it. But when I got in, they gave us I don't remember where it came from, but I got a video series of some dude, and he's like, when you're calling, for every no, you put a tally mark, and then at the end of your call session, you do push-ups, and you'll get stronger mentally and physically.
Ugh.
And I was like,
Beautiful.
I
that's
hate
the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But then he's like, it's very it came down to it's very important. Track your ratios. But that's all they said was track your ratios. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Nick
Yes.
Michelle actually was like, I don't know what it means. So I'm going to figure out what it means, and I'm going to set it up in a way that actually makes sense for my brain.
Yeah.
That I can then give to other people as a blueprint, and they can do it too. And now Griffin is like, yeah, I know exactly how many contacts I have to
Yeah,
make.
and Griffin
every
was
single
like,
day.
I'm gonna fucking quit because I can't figure it out.
Dude, yeah,
and then
now.
Nick made him figure it out. So he's good for those. And then like I said, Dustin's good in his own way because he's just so chill. And Nick Kuiper, I think, really just helps people learn how to be themselves and have confidence.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Dustin is chill in a way that he knows what he's talking about, and he's going to help you figure it out and learn. But he's also doing it in a way that's not as much pressure, I think, as some new people who don't know.
Someone like a Case, Casey's a little bit more seasoned, so he could handle it. But I'm just saying, you're Casey and you're brand new, or Alejandro.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's probably gonna be a little too much for him. Nick Michelle's gonna be a little bit too intense for him, and Dustin's the perfect because Dustin's just
I feel like
you know.
if we let somebody get in and kind of do some things for a little while, we bring Nick in at that point. But once they start doing calls because I think that if a new agent comes in and, I think when I started off as a transaction coordinator, and I remember we had, mind you, I stepped onto TAT, and it was literally my first full day there. The whole admin team quit. Admin team quit. It was I remember thinking what did I just do?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
They
This
hired
is
me just because they knew these people
It
were
was
gonna
all
be
good,
Yes.
Christina. And
Yes.
you showed up, and they're just like, we're done.
We're done.
We're out.
Everybody put it. It was within an hour of me starting my day.
Did I
it was
say
wild.
something?
Yeah, right. Do
did
I
I
smell
do?
bad?
Do I smell bad?
What did I do? But anyways, my thing is as those new agents came on, and I saw the training that was going on, and it's they pushed their numbers. What are your numbers? numbers. Well, you don't know until you're in. Like
Yeah.
I didn't fully until my
See,
first year. I didn't know what my conversion rate was.
Yeah,
I didn't know any of that.
I don't even know if you should focus on that the first year.
I don't.
really.
I think you should track it, but you shouldn't pay too much
Attention to it.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like it's
That's
just an
like-
easy way to get you defeated. Hey, dude,
Yes.
go close 5 or 10 deals and then get some money saved and then get some confidence and then go track
like
that.
maybe start
Yes.
tracking like how many contacts are you making a day, just so
Yeah,
when you're talking
yeah,
to
yeah,
your mentor
yeah.
and they're like, well, how many people did you talk to? And you're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be more
Well-
important to me. Is like how many conversations are you having a day?
Conversations and
Th-
dials.
Maybe not so much like how good or because at first you're going to convert nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
gonna be zero.
But it'd be more just like
zero.
what is the effort? What is the calls? What is that?
Right.
Are you,
Oh,
doing,
maybe-
are you taking action?
Yeah.
Right.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
are you getting your feet wet? Are you going out and you're knocking doors?
Yeah.
Have you messaged people on your Facebook and told them that you're a fucking real estate agent?
Yes.
'Cause if you haven't done that, you can't be mad when any of your friends buy with someone because they did not know that you're a real estate agent if you don't tell anyone.
Correct. And I think that we could honestly do a whole training thing on that. Like when a new agent comes on, we need to talk about all the different ways that you can prospect, because it's not just, doing it cold calls. There's so much more. I mean, now people are joining like different groups on Facebook and they're, like my aunt is like, come on, you need to join my kayaking group. We don't have a realtor, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's cool.
I joined
shit, but you guys are, like it's never a consistent day, never a consistent time. Like I can't, it's hard for me to, plan that out. But
Yeah, but you're really,
smart,
you're really good at that stuff too.
Well,
Oh, networking is
Yeah,
my
you're-
thing.
yeah.
I can network like nobody's
Not
business.
everybody's.
so. No, but there's
really good
other
network.
ways.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
door knocking. There's open houses.
Yeah,
Some people
there's
build
so
their whole
many- yeah.
business around that. So
There's so many
There's
things.
so many different things that you can do, and I think that if we were to hit on all of those and say like, hey, your first, I would say, couple of years in real estate, you're going to be playing with all of these.
Yep.
But you
Yeah,
have to
almost
find out what's going to
another
work
good-
best for
another-
you.
another
What's
good
going to get
thing
you
would-
results.
Another good thing to do would be like a 6-month checklist of things that you need to do. Like we're gonna say you got to do this many open houses, and you got to go door knock this many houses, and you got to go do this.
Yeah.
And you gotta do
I'd
this.
say like go whoever your like coach or whatever is, or if you're like a new person and you don't have one of the like a coach or whatever, like latch onto somebody who gets something under contract the week or the month, the first month you're there. Find somebody that you vibe with. Like it could be Amira, it could be Johnny, it could be whoever. And then just ask them like, hey, can I just like shadow you through this entire
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Be in the group chat.
That's not a
Don't
bad
you don't
idea.
really say much. You just absorb.
Observe, yeah.
Watch how Evan talks to his client. Watch how Christina handles all of the objections. Watch
That's not
how
a bad idea.
Watch how Zach handles the inspection report. Go to the inspection. Go to all the showings. Watch how somebody does showings. Be a part of all of the be on the calls or with the person like when they're talking to their client about want to put an offer in, just so you're exposed to it. That way you know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Go to an inspection. Like, I don't know how many inspections I went to just with Zach. And I had no part in the transaction at all.
You
but
just wanted to observe.
I met the inspector.
Yeah.
I formed
Kinda
a relationship with him.
Absorb all that information by doing it.
I got to learn.
Because once
what
you
I
figure
should
it
be
out,
looking
you're like, oh
for.
my god, this process is so easy.
How it
After
should
the
go.
inspection, you're just babysitting.
Yeah.
Truly.
Kinda. Yeah.
One of the first inspections I ever went to, the house was like awful, but I got to see we were just walking through and Zach it was just like, oh yeah, outlet's gonna need to fix, roof's 15 years old. There's that, and I was like,
How does he
what
know
does he
all
even
of
know?
this?
Yeah, and I think I even asked him. I was like, how do you know that? He goes, oh, I've seen it. Like you'll get there once you see it enough. You know what you're looking at.
Yep.
But if you just get your first people under contract and they're expecting you to be like the professional, you know everything, and you're just as deer in the headlights with the inspector as they are.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to do to them?
Oh, they're not going to feel confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
But
doesn't
if
have
you-
no confidence with
Yeah.
the clients at all.
No. Yeah.
But, yeah, because if you are at an inspection for someone else's clients and the inspector finds like mold in the attic, you can see how the agent you're shadowing is responding to that with the buyers there, what they're saying, and then on yours, now you know how to handle it so you don't scare them away and you don't like put false like ideas in their head. You can help them actually get the house and get the mold taken care of and fix all the problems. But if you've never done that and you haven't shadowed someone through it all, like go
Yeah.
with them to take the check to escrow, meet the escrow people, learn what the title means. Like, just shadow someone through the whole thing.
Well, it's even been nice with, like, even Jennifer coming around and just being willing to, I wouldn't say aggressively, intentionally, just, like, meeting with new agents and stuff. This is really good.
Yeah. Yep.
Because, like, for title, Nick Kuiper, he has a house on South Hill that he wasn't the agent on it, but the agent before him had his clients buy it, didn't see that there was an easement, or either didn't see or told him not to worry about it. I can't remember what happened. And
I think he saw it and was like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and then now it's holding up their sale.
Yeah, now 2 or 3 years later, these people want to sell the house they bought. And now the title coming up with an easement, and the buyers for the house are like, we want that taken, like, removed. But now, so now
it's like how much money. I was like, you know what, that would be a good video. Hey, one of my buddies used the wrong realtor. It cost him $20,000. Here's how you can save yourself $20,000. I'm like, that'll be a good video on a Friday.
Yeah. You really, it's funny that people, say that, because when you're ordering a title report, like, you need to know everything on that property. Things always come up, and as an agent, I feel like that is our job too.
Well, the nice thing is he's reading them all too.
Yeah.
Like you guys go over the title reports, and
what happens when there are liens that come up and you don't know? It's held up closing before for
a good
us.
A good managing broker will also review all the title reports.
Well, and also a good title rep is also reaching out and saying, "Hey, I found this on title." And they do that now, which is nice.
So it's like a three-way thing there.
Yes.
To me, it's on the agent, the rep, and you.
Yes.
So.
I feel like, we've had some deals in the past, like in our first few years, where it'd be like, hey, we found that, like, the house was owned by the mom, and she willed it to all 8 kids equally.
Yeah.
So, like, 3 of them have dropped off the face of the earth.
That's some kind of shit. Sometimes you can't always know.
There's a couple in the valley. There's a couple of lots in the valley that are just empty land.
Yeah.
That they haven't, like, I'm like, why haven't you built on that? There's houses all around it. You could put, like, 5 houses on this, and it's just an empty plot of weeds. And then I look at it, and it was, like, in 1956, the lady who bought it, she died, and she willed 1/8 of control of the property to every one of her kids. And now half of them are dead, but it's a joint property, so now their stake in it is willed to their next of kin. So now it's owned by, like, 15 people who have 0.62% ownership. And it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. But if you don't look at the title report, you wouldn't see that, in the next 30 days we have to track down 6 ghosts and get them to sign quitclaim deeds.
Well, I had a deal under contract in December. It was supposed to close in December. We got under contract in November, and the wife passed away, right? So I was representing the buyer, and anyways, like, as we're, like, approaching, like, we were supposed to close the Friday before Christmas. That week prior, I found out that there was, like, 4 kids, and so because she passed away,
now they're all trying to figure it out.
So then some of them were willing to sell it, but then of course there's the one that was like, no, I don't know if I want to do this. Well, we had to back out because my client's like, I got to move here first of all.
I remember Hunter telling me about that.
Oh my God, it was just a mess.
He was like, dude, this is crazy.
Oh, it was crazy. Like, and then I've never had a seller also, never, ever, ever had a seller not, like, get anything done in a timely fashion. Like, we got through, like, I always do 5-day inspections because it's a waste of my time to do 10. But so we do 5 days.
You should only need 5 to 7 days.
That's like,
even in the height of COVID, it was like, give me 5 days and I'll have it all done.
It's usually like 2 or 3.
Yeah, in COVID it was like 3.
Less, yeah.
And
then it was like, I need you to come out in the next 3 hours and do this, please.
Oh God, yeah.
Or it was like, I don't get an inspection. I need you to come here. You need to walk through this house with me. I'll buy you lunch. Come here right now.
Yeah. It was crazy. But anyways, main thing is like, you definitely, like, title rep is the one that called that out. The listing agent didn't even know. The listing agent couldn't get his client to do what we needed them to do. It was just crazy. So it's one of those that you really got to be proactive. And even as, I'm like the buyer's agent, and I'm sitting here telling the listing agent what to do, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
There's just some things that happen and the deal just blows up.
It does. Yeah. You can't control it. Yeah.
And that's one of the, it's one of the really, like, fun things about real estate, but also one of the really challenging things is that no two deals are ever the same.
Ever. Love
Nothing really goes smooth. Maybe like 1 in 100.
Real estate's mostly just problem solving more than anything.
100%.
There's always something to solve. Something goes different than the last time.
Yeah.
But the general structure is the same.
Yep.
But it's just like, okay, how do I need to shift here? How do I need to do this? How do we need to solve this problem? And I think that for like new people or people who don't handle stress super well, like I'm really good. I've always been really good at handling stress. But people who can't handle stress
after
very
Tony,
well,
you were good.
yeah. Well,
Tony was a little rough.
once it gets to like a certain height of stress, like,
Yeah.
I'm good
You're
at
way
handling
better
a
now.
moderate level.
You're way
all
better
the time.
now.
But yeah, but it's like if you're not ready if you're gonna break under like the most minimum amount of stress, like oh my god, there's peeling paint, my life's falling apart.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do it. You will not make it in real estate.
Yeah.
No matter what you do. But if you
You just
like,
ride the roller coaster, dude.
this is a problem that has come up. Here are the 3 solutions automatically coming into my brain. Let's figure out which one it is.
Yes.
Oh, it's peeling paint. Seller could paint it. We could paint it. Hire someone to paint it. Oh, you don't have money to hire someone. Okay, well, we're going to paint it or the seller's going to paint it. They're not going to paint it? Well, guess what?
Okay, I have a guy
We're
who'll do it.
scraping.
I have a guy who will do it for free, and he'll take payment at closing.
Yep. I
Figure it
literally,
out.
to close a VA, after appraisal got rejected because the detached garage on the other side that was falling, like no roof, like roof was caved in, but it had peeling paint. And this is in 2021, height of COVID. FHA, and they're like, yeah, the garage has to be painted because it has peeling paint. And I was like, it's not attached. It's not even in use. It's like a 1920s, like wood garage with like the door doesn't open, roof's caved in. You're telling me I have to paint it? And he's like, yeah, the roof doesn't matter. It's just the peeling paint. And so me and my buyer out there with a fucking pressure washer because it was cedar shake. Can't scrape cedar shake siding. You got to pressure wash it off. So he's pressure washing it off, and I'm raking it up behind him in August in direct, like 110 degree sun. And then we're out there the next morning painting it all up now that it's dry. And like, yeah, it closed, but dude, like, seller was like, I have no money. I'm selling at a loss because I have to sell. If you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. But like, you got to.
My first few deals were like that. Luckily, I don't really have any deals like that anymore.
Oh, I'm still running into them, but Hunter and I just had to pay for somebody's stairs to get things. It is what it is. But again, it's strategizing and it's getting the deal done.
Yeah. It's a 2 for 2. It's like, would you rather make $0,000 or $5,000?
Right.
You know, like
I've paid for people's appraisals before because they like. Their car broke down and they had like the week before closing or like the week before they would get their appraisal, they had to spend like $1,000 to fix their car. Now they don't have the money for the appraisal, and I'm like, well, I don't really have that extra money to throw around at you when I got all my bills and stuff going on, but like I'll do it and I'll go eat ramen for a week. Like it's fine
until this closes.
Because once it closes, like you're gonna be happy. Now I have. Like
my money
a
back.
raving fan.
See, that's why you guys were so good, because you guys, the first 10 or 15, you just like whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And I was a whatever it takes kind of guy.
Yes.
So I would be like, I don't give a fuck, buy him lunch, get it done.
Dude,
I don't give a shit.
My first one will always live in my mind as like the the most stressful situation ever, but also like such a rewarding, like I've gotten multiple referrals from these people. They're my first deal ever. And we got them in 2020 it was under asking by like $15,000. Then we got a bunch of repairs because there was like a big giant crack in the basement.
Oh, like
wall.
foundation. Oh, in the wall or foundation?
Yeah. So they had a structural engineer come out and fix the wall, and then the seller paid for that. And then the appraisal came in $30,000 low, and then the seller didn't want to drop.
Dude, you got to get them to sell that house.
But it's FHA. I don't think they're ever. I think it's just gonna be their like forever home.
Dude,
but
they have so much equity in that house.
I know. They got. Yeah, it's in the valley too. Like right off.
They got it for what, like $220?
I think it ended up being like $230.
But like it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was in 2020. Yeah,
I bet they
probably
have $200,000.
So much equity, but
they got $150,000. You just gotta go. You have $150,000 in your hands.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The most stressful part is it was over New Year's was when we got the appraisal back that it was $30K low.
Oh God.
I was moving out of my apartment into another apartment on New Year's Day when I got the call from the listing agent that it was $30K under and they're backing out. Or they're not backing out, but they're like, we're refusing to drop the price. You have to have 30 grand. And it's FHA. And I was like, we were already on the market for like 50 days with no offers. And now you can't sell the house again from this, like from over that anyway. Why would you?
Yeah, they were fucked.
Like, why would you force us? Why would you force us to back
Back
out
out
so you can go back on market? So then I'm literally in a U-Haul driving down the freeway, calling Zach. He's like, "Say this." So I hung up and I called the agent, and I'm like, "Okay," and I hang up and I'm like, "He said this," and Zach's like, "Okay, now say this." And I actually ended up, the U-Haul ended up costing me like $300 more than they said because of mileage, because I missed my exit multiple times driving on the freeway. I was moving from Browns Edition into the Valley, and I ended up accidentally driving all the way to Liberty Lake when I was supposed to get off at Pines, and then I turned around and I missed the Pines exit, and I got off at Altamont in a U-Haul, and then I'm finally unloading, and I get a call from Zach, and he's like, "Hey, I called the listing agent because I knew you were moving, and they're going to drop the price to the appraisal price. So you should go." He's like, "You should tell your buyers that you figured out how to save them 30 grand. And yeah, so it ended up closing, and I think
I pissed off that listing agent. Jerry was like, "This listing agent's fucking mad at me." I was like, "I don't give a fuck. FHA low appraisal. They're your bitch. Get it done." Jerry's like, "Okay." His first deal, doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, "You got this, bro."
It was already 50-50 for between me and Zach, and then also I think we had to give up part of our commission toward it too. But so I closed the deal, and I ended up making like $1,200 for all of that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because it's already a pretty low price point. And I was like, you know what? Some money is better than no money.
Yeah.
I was like, yep. I was like, man, I did this all in one day. And I was like super tired and just worn out of everything from moving and all that. But I was just sitting on my couch, like having finally moved in. And I was like, this is actually like the best I've felt in a long time. So I did it all. And yeah, I made a little bit of money. But like, I didn't give up and I didn't break down and cry because I was like, I just have the other shit to do today too. Like,
we got to get through this.
I can cry next week. I got shit to do today.
I got time to be mad.
I can cry tonight when I'm laying in my new apartment because I didn't get hit on my move out clean. Like I got my deposit back, so I'm fine. But yeah, it was like, if you can't handle that kind of thing, and that was my first one, and I think it kind of set me up. It sucked in the moment, but and I've never had another one that was that bad. I only had one other where I even had a situation that I got really stressed by, and like now I use that guy as like my motivation every time I feel like shit. I just think about him.
Think about that transaction or that client.
I just think about this guy's trees in his backyard, and it makes me happy every time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because we did core. He went to core, and then he came back, and like you link a feeling of accomplishment to like something bad that happened.
Yeah.
And so this guy had a bunch of pine trees in his backyard, and they had no needles on them in January. But he moved up here from California, and then he called me and was like, "I'm gonna fucking sue you. You didn't do your due diligence on these trees. They're all dead. I have to pay to get them cut out." And I was like, "Bro, he sent me pictures of just ground, like just pine needles on the ground." And I was like, "What am I looking at here?" It looks like pine needles. And he was pissed. And yeah, and I was like, dude, it's winter in Washington. Like, this is just what happens.
They die.
I was like, that's not a dead tree. It's just that the needles fall off.
Yeah,
man. Like, that's just what it is.
They regrow in the spring.
And then I was like, I called Zach, and he's like, say this, say this, say this, say this. You got this. And then he hung up. And I just called him back. And
I was always very tough on Jerry.
And then the guy felt so bad that he took me out to lunch to like make up for it. Because I was like,
he bodied him so hard.
I was like, first off, I understand you're frustrated. You cannot talk to me like that. If you want my help, I can help you.
Didn't you say something too, like, this is why nobody likes you, California?
Yeah, I was like, you've never lived in Washington, so I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but I can guarantee you I've lived here my entire life in that neighborhood. This is what happens to pine trees. They drop their needles in the wintertime. We just had an ice storm 3 days ago. If you ever threaten to sue me again, I cannot talk to you, and I will not help you. But if you're gonna like get over yourself and not be a Californian like we all hate, then I can help you. But that's your choice. And then I hung up, and then he called me back like 10 minutes later, and he apologized and was like, I was really out of line.
You should hit him up to sell his house too.
Yeah, I think he and his wife, like, they legit bought that house to die in.
Yeah, see what I'm
But
saying. You just got to go, hey, bro, you got $150,000.
Yep. Hey, Trump just got in again.
Zach is getting creative here with business.
You don't have to say much. You're like, bro, there's $150,000 in your wallet tomorrow. Are you ready?
Yeah.
They're like, well, maybe I am ready. You're like, you got any cars to pay off? It's a game over for me. What do you got? You got any cars to pay off? They're like, well, actually, and I'm like,
What about credit cards?
yeah, what about credit cards? And then they're like, yeah, but the high interest rates. And I'm like, text me all your bills. And they do. And I'm like, you'd actually be saving $400 a month, even at 7% interest. And they're like, you drive it to bargain. If you learn how to play the math game, you can get a lot of sales, boys. They're really helping people because it's like, dude, you move and you get rid of all your shit, and then next. So
you don't spend all the money on debt payments. You actually just saving money.
Sometimes it just makes sense to sell for your house just because of that, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I think the batteries on the cameras are probably going to die here, so
Yeah,
Casey, come on, man.
We're good.
wrap this up. But I appreciate you guys tuning in to Beyond the Boundaries. Make sure you tune in next week,
was fun.
and we will get another one up.
Bye.
Bye.